are you becoming?
The great red dragon.
After finding a way of making contact with Hannibal last week, we continue the story straight from where we left off. We saw how Dolarhyde was able to call Lecter without alerting any suspicions, as his conversation stretched far longer than initially expected. And after witnessing the return of Freddie Lowndes last week, another one of our leading ladies also decided to make her reappearance. Bedelia is back and brings along with her glimpses of her past and insights into the patient attack. Her story of being sedated and drugged up by Hannibal clearly worked a treat, just like she knew it would. But that didn't mean that Will and co had to believe her. Will knew from the very start the lie that Bedelia was weaving. Honestly, she acts like Hannibal a little bit in that regard. She never outright denies her lies, but never fully admits the truth. She just drops hints and inclinations here and there. Now, we saw Zachary Quinto make quite an amusing cameo at the beginning of the season as Bedelia's patient, appearing only for a matter of seconds and having Bedelia's arm lodged straight down his throat. But here you will be pleased to know he is alive and well, for at least a little bit anyway. The flashbacks from Bedelia brought along with her insight into how she was treating her patients and how she acted as a cooperative psychiatrist, something which would inevitably spin perfectly into Hannibal's own web. Now back to Dolarhyde and Hannibal. Dolarhyde is edging ever closer to the lingering full moon, and with Lecter whispering in his ear, you do wonder what sort of effect that is going to have on him. You know Hannibal is going to at least attempt to manipulate him, and whilst all that is happening, Dolarhyde's bond with Reba has quickly begun to flourish. This, of course, is causing even more inner conflict within Dolarhyde's psyche. So with his bond with Reba going from strength to strength, alongside his commitment of becoming the Red Dragon, which side of Dolarhyde would win the battle, and truly be the one to show its face? Welcome to the top 5 moments of the episode, followed by the overall verdict.
I wanted to tell you that I am delighted that you have taken an interest in me.
After Dolarhyde found a way to directly contact his admired and locked up counterpart, they both share many connections to one another, such as the demeaning nicknames the press like to give them both. And one day, Dolarhyde describes how he would love for Hannibal to also meld with the strength of the dragon.
See how magnificent you are. Did he who made the lamb make thee?
Dee, I'd like you to tell me what you see, if you don't mind.
Dolarhyde's connection with Reba is getting stronger and stronger, and after he decides to take her to the zoo so she can feel and sense a tiger for the very first time, Dolarhyde is mesmerised by her actions, only barely being able to contain his emotions.
Have you been to see him?
Yes.
You haven't learned your lesson, have you?
As Bedelia Du Maurier makes her return, her story of being drugged up by Hannibal must have worked out pretty well. Regardless of what others believed, Will knew for a fact that Bedelia was herself during the time she spent away with Hannibal. And after visiting Bedelia at her home, Will got a deeper insight into the past events, as we witnessed the time when, as Bedelia would put it, she saw vulnerability and decided to crush it.
It might save you a great deal of trouble.
Operator, I don't have the use of my hands. Could you please ring 667 JL50102?
Thank you.
Is there any trick in the book that Hannibal doesn't know? After receiving a call in his cell, Hannibal is able to re-divert it back to the operator. He is then able to call the office of one Dr. Frederick Chilton and persuade the assistant who is working at the time to hand over the address that Hannibal is looking for.
All right, what was the name?
Graham. Will Graham.
Oh, that was a good ending. As Dolarhyde was eating the original Red Dragon piece, the art was to receive another visitor in the very same day. Will knew on arriving something just wasn't quite right, and as he arrives on the correct floor, he notices a glimpse of someone trying to slip away. My overall verdict for this week's episode of Hannibal is a 9 out of 10. As we reach the midway point of the Red Dragon story, the race to catch Dolarhyde is now well and truly on. After querying the carvings that symbolise the Red Dragon which were found by Will around the crime scenes, Hannibal points Will in the direction of the Blake painting. And just as it happened, when Will went to gaze upon the art that Dolarhyde is fascinated with, someone was just finishing eating it. And after that extremely tense and close encounter at the climax of the episode, one would now presume Will knows who he just bumped into. He doesn't know his name, of course, but he got a good look at Dolarhyde, so at least he may be able to describe how he looks, which will give Jack and the rest of the FBI a range to narrow their search down to. You know, for as much as went on in that episode, I only realised just after it ended that we didn't get a single second of either Jack or Alana. And don't get me wrong, that's not a complaint. My point is that the episode felt complete even by leaving out 2 of its main cast members. It gave the episode a chance to focus a lot deeper on some of the more key relationships, most notably between Dolarhyde and Reba. It amazes me, in even the small amount of screen time that Rutina Wesley's Reba has had, just 2 episodes including this week, how her rapport and bond with Dolarhyde is totally believable. Dolarhyde is beginning to show his own weakness to his becoming. He took Reba to the zoo as we witnessed the iconic scene with the tiger play out in TV form, even struggling then to control his inner emotions. He also could not resist the advances of Reba and rushed upstairs to the dragon painting upon awakening the next morning. It's pretty clear that Dolarhyde is starting to care for Reba, even if he knows that he shouldn't. But the question remains that when it comes down to it, will Dolarhyde choose Reba, or will he continue down his intended path and choose the dragon? Another relationship that had quite a good time in the sun this episode was between Will and Bedelia. We've never really seen either of these characters interact together in any way before, so to have both of their stories begin to link up only adds to the volume of intrigue. Both of them have, or at some point, ran or wanted to run away with Hannibal. She admits her relationship with Hannibal was never as passionate as Will's, but she at least got to see him behind the veil, something which thus far has always eluded Will. Bedelia also touched on something which I believe is what's going through Will's head. Will potentially sees Dolarhyde as a version of Hannibal that he may be able to save. Now we don't know for sure on this, but as the story has gone, Will and Hannibal's bond has always been an exceptionally strong one. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if Hannibal looks at Dolarhyde as a version of Will that he can corrupt. And with Dolarhyde's warped psyche, it's anyone's guess who will come out triumphant. And the next full moon is now only days away. The FBI are sure to be closing in on their man, and the question is, will they be able to find him before their time runs out? Thank you very much for watching. Please leave a like, comment and subscribe if you enjoyed the review. Continue your support for Hannibal in any way you can, and I'll see you next week.
See how magnificent you are. Did he who made the lamb make thee?